Henry. I'd like to look at some locks.
Yeah, I got lots of them.
I would like to cash a check, please.
Of course. Do you have identification?
Don't move. Put your hands on the counter.
All right, put your hands up. I said put your hands up!
Cover them and anybody else who comes in. Make a move for an alarm button, you get killed.
There's more than one car. I took a shot at the gray one.
Mr. Hathridge! They killed Mr. Hathridge! Get the police!
I couldn't have driven another foot, officer. I couldn't see.
Last person I stopped couldn't see out of either eye until he sobered up.
Officer, surely you don't think that I've been drinking?
I'm just joking. Well, I think that's got it. Excuse me, ma'am. Somebody seems in an awful hurry to die.
What's the matter, officer? Is he drunk?
He's dead.
Heart attack?
Somebody put a bullet through him.
Never saw a dead man before.
For armed robbery and murder just occurred. A bank manager in San Patos.
Officer! Hey, officer! It says on your radio that there's been a bank robbery in San Patos. It says a gray sedan was one of the getaway cars.
Thanks. And that's how I got into the case. I'm Jeff Saunders on a roving assignment. Special Enforcement Unit of the California Highway Detail out of Sacramento. Our agency handles any trouble that bounces off California's highways, and there's plenty of it. I've been working this area for a few days due to an unusual increase in traffic accidents. I headed for San Patos to see Sheriff Sternweister, with whom I'd worked before.
Any distinguishing marks, any scars, birthmarks, or anything?
Sheriff, I just kept looking at those guns.
All right, what kind of guns were they?
What kind of guns? Well, just guns. Well, medium-sized.
Medium-sized. Everything was medium-sized. Bank robbers, medium-sized. Cars, medium-sized. Everything medium-sized except the money they took. $94,000. Oh, all right, Jeff.
Sheriff, I brought in the gray sedan and the corpse that was driving it.
Yeah, so I heard. Any money in the car?
No money, no guns, no identification on the body. Then what about the other cars?
Both sedans, one black, one two-tone green, man in one, man and woman in the other. No trace of them.
Anybody get a license number?
No.
Well, then all we've got to go on is a dead man in his car.
That's the way it looks.
The bank guard get him?
No, man across the street, Henry Willows, runs a hardware store. He's waiting to be interviewed. I've asked Sacramento to keep you on the job, Jeff.
Oh, that's fine with me.
Good. Now, I'll wind up the questioning. You see if you can locate the gun, huh?
Right.
Jeff, did he look at all familiar to you, the dead guy? I mean, do you think there's a warrant on him?
Might be. But if it's dead or alive, they don't have much choice. A gun is a lot bigger than a needle, but a stretch of California highway makes a mighty big haystack. I moved out from San Patos along the route the gray sedan must have taken. I figured small boys can find anything, even things they shouldn't. But none of them had seen the gun. When I realized we didn't have a chance of finding it, I went back to the sheriff's office. Not much to show for a man's life.
Maybe he didn't value his too highly.
A national brand suit bought in a Los Angeles store. Say, did we hear from L.A.?
Not yet.
Shoes bought in San Francisco. Common denomination of bill, just change. Now, what about this money clip, the cigarette lighter?
Standard. You can buy them in any drugstore in the country.
And his prints came back negative.
Yeah.
These are all we've got.
Well, the teletype says no record of him anywhere. So let's face it, he's just Mr. Average Joe.
No, Mr. Average Joe doesn't go around holding up banks.
Well, this one did.
Say, what about the description report on the three that got away?
Every eyewitness saw somebody different.
How about the stolen car report?
Oh, sure, there were plenty of cars stolen, most of them sedans, but what they need is a make or a license number.
Well, we'll just have to go on what we've got.
Which adds up to a very large zero.
We've still got the gray sedan.
Like I said, nothing.
Oh, it'll talk. Before we're through, we'll know the whole life history. We hadn't found the missing gun, the missing bank robbers, or the missing money. All we had was one car and a case that had to be cracked. Had to because crime without detection is a personal affront to every police agency. Sheriff Sternweister and his deputies were good, efficient men. None of us had the know-how to get that gray sedan talking. So we called on technicians from the FBI office in Los Angeles and some of our stolen car experts from Sacramento. They really gave it a going over. License plates taken from a head-on wreck about 6 months ago in San Diego. The fingerprints on the dashboard, steering wheel around the outside, 4 different sets. And they've even got a report on the insects that were taken from the car.
I want people, not insects.
You know, you gotta give them time to study the rear view mirror, the visor for the height. They'll take the dust and debris from the window welds, check the floor mats for heel impressions, seat adjustments. They'll even tell you if there's been a woman driving that car for any length of time.
Well, tell me where I can find 3 bank robbers.
Believe me, Sheriff, their addresses are in that car. For 2 days and nights, we went over the car with a fine-tooth comb. Nothing. Looked as if our luck had about run out.
Seems impossible anybody could rob a bank and kill somebody in broad daylight and not leave some clue.
More important, no pattern. In my book, that makes them amateurs. 1 job a year and they run for a hole.
Well, if they're amateurs, we can give up hoping to find them in some wanted file.
Yet if they are amateurs, that's the pattern they'll follow.
What do you mean?
Well, pros spread out. Find a place where they aren't known. But amateurs, people who lead everyday lives, they've got to run back home and start acting natural.
So?
So I'd say home is in this state.
You want to know exactly how many square miles in this sovereign state and exactly how many people live in each section of it?
A lot?
A whole lot.
Turning to the local scene, there is still an air of mystery concerning the robbery of the Bank of San Patos.
It's the understatement of the month.
The statewide search for the 2 men and a woman who got away with $94,000 continues. The police
Wait a
have as
minute.
yet been unable to identify the one man shot and killed while fleeing to the scene of the robbery. Henry Willows,
That's
the
it.
San Patos merchant.
That's what? What do you mean?
wounded
Oh, the answer, where they live.
Later died
Well, he was
while
talking
driving
about an
his
air of
car at a
mystery,
great
not an
rate of
address
speed
book.
up
I know, watch this.
miles out of town. The police have...
Not one station comes in clearly, but they'd all come in clearly if we happen to be in the area that they were broadcasting from. So if we find a location that makes these push buttons all come in clearly, we've got them.
Why, it shouldn't take the Federal Communications Commission an hour to find out what section can get those frequencies.
Say goodbye, Sheriff.
To who?
To Baby. Thank her for a lovely conversation. We had our first break and moved quickly. From the FCC, we'd learned that the car radio was tuned clearly to the numbers of 5 local radio stations, which can be heard in Santa Rosa. No other area in the whole country would those same 5 numbers be used by local stations. I checked with the local sheriff, George Thomas. It was the original radio in the car, so it probably needed adjustments. Let's start out by trying to track down the repairman.
There isn't many in town.
Do all of your boys have a picture of the dead man?
Sure. Wasn't a local boy. None of us knew him.
But his friends might have been local people, or they may have been holed up here. Which means that they'll be looking for any unusual activity.
There's nothing we can do about that till we find out who the corpse was, or at least where he lived.
Sheriff, if I noticed any strangers in uniform nosing around town, I'd take the 90,000 and get out of here in a hurry.
Roadblocks? Hell, I'll send for some cars.
Now, where do they go?
There are two through roads in this area, almost right angled to each other, completely surrounded by a hill. There are 4 exits they can get out. We'll cover those. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Unless they walk, swim, or fly, this is the only way out.
We got a man at the airport, and the river's dry.
Only supposing no radio repairman saw him.
Sheriff, he lived around here someplace. He had to sleep, eat, maybe take a drink or two.
So?
So he had to pay somebody for the privilege. Roadblocks were set up within a matter of minutes. Sheriff Thomas was an able man, and his deputies moved quickly. Every one of the 4 roads leaving Santa Rosa were cut off. No one could get through without a close inspection. Inside the town, we started the search. We had no luck with gas station attendants, and the radio repairman hadn't ever seen a dead man. So we started concentrating on any place he could have stopped. And after striking out a dozen times, we finally got a solid hit.
I know him. Come in here quite often, him and his friends. What's the matter with him?
What's his name?
I don't know. His buddy said he went east to open a business.
Who told you?
His friends? They just left here about a half hour ago.
A couple of men and a woman?
The woman wasn't with him today. Just the 2 men came in for a drink.
You know what their names was?
Sheriff, I never know anybody's name unless they tell me. He never told me.
Where do they live?
I don't know.
When they came in here, were they walking or driving?
They were driving a black sedan. I don't know what kind, just got a glimpse of it. But I know it was black. Probably a 57.
Ever see the car before?
No, come to think of it, I hadn't. They used to have another kind of car.
Well, thanks.
They're in trouble, huh?
They're gonna be.
Seemed like such a nice, quiet guy. Just can't figure him getting into any trouble.
He won't anymore.
How come?
He's dead. I had a theory that this crowd had been spending money lavishly because they didn't want it to look as if they'd suddenly come into some. So we decided to try a tour of the better sections of town. We knew we'd have to hurry because picking up a new car probably meant they were planning to move out right away. Then we got lucky again. One of the deputies on the south side of town contacted an auto mechanic who remembered a 57 black sedan. It pinpointed a neighborhood for us. We checked all the real estate agents for houses that had been rented recently, especially among the better neighborhoods. There were plenty of them in the area. At 5:30 that afternoon, I found a promising one. For me, it stood out from the rest. It was an old mansion. There was something about the place, the way it was isolated from other houses, that spelled high-class hideout. I put in a call for Sheriff Thomas. He said he'd come running.
Howdy.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
You the tenant here?
Of course not. People who rents don't work in the garden. I'm the caretaker for the owner.
The tenant's around?
Well, Mr. Williams is inside. The other two's down at the gas station gassing up. They're leaving today. They gave me a good tip, too, for helping them pack.
Thanks.
Well, here's Mr. Williams now, officer. What's this all about, officer? Well, here's one of them, Sheriff.
There go the others.
Send a car for you and the prisoner.
We hadn't gained much ground on them. They obviously had a souped-up motor in their car. As they started to round a wide curve in the road, a thought occurred to me. I knew the area pretty well. I also knew my motorcycle could do some things their big sedan couldn't. So we started across a straight line while they moved around the bend.
Looks like you just winged him, Jeff. I guess he'll live.
Good, he'll be nice and healthy for the trial.
I see they're delivered to Sheriff Sternmeister in San Patas.
Thanks. Well, I'll be on my way. It's time I report back to Sacramento.
He came close, real close to getting away.
It's never close enough. Not when you've got eyewitnesses like gray sedans. So long, Sheriff Thomas.
Come on, Jeff. All right, move him out. You take this car back. I'll take mine. Come on.
I guess in a way the West hasn't changed very much. Innocent people are still being killed at the hands of the lawless, and somebody's got to stop them. We try, and so do all the other law enforcement agencies. Fortunately for the people of the West, percentage and luck are on our side.